Om. Om. Ganana Antva Ganapati Havaamahe Kavim Kavinamupamasravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana Srinvan Otibhisidasadanam Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhir Vajinivati Dhinamavitrajavatu Ganeshaya Namaha Saraswatयै Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Hara 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 Om. Namah Somaya cha Rudraya cha Namastamraya cha Arunaya cha Namah Shangaya cha Pashupataye cha Namah Ugraya cha Bhimaya cha Namo Agre Vadhaya cha Dure Vadhaya cha Namo Hantre cha Khaniyase cha Namo Vrukshebhyo हरिकेशेभ्यो नमस्ताराय नमः शम्भवे च मयो भवे च नमः शङ्कराय च मयस्कराय च नमः शिवाय च शिवतराय च नमस्तीर्ध्याय च कूल्याय च नमः पाद्याय च वाद्याय च नमः प्रतरणाय चोत्तरणाय च नम आतार्याय च लाद्याय च नमः षष्ठ्याय च फेन्याय च नमः सिकत्याय च प्रवाक्याय च नम इरिण्याय च प्रपथ्याय च नमः किगुंसिलाय च क्षयणाय च नमः कपर्दिने च पुलस्तये च नमो गोष्ठ्याय च गृह्याय च नमस्तल्प्याय च गेह्याय च नमः काट्याय च गह्वरेष्ठाय च नमो हृदय्याय च निवेश्याय च नमः पागुंसव्याय च रजस्याय च नमः शुष्क्याय च करेत्याय च नमो लोप्याय चोलप्याय च नमः भूर्व्याय च सूर्याय च नमः पर्ण्याय च पर्णशद्याय च नमो कोपगुरमाणाय च विघ्नते च नम आखिदते च प्रखिदते च नमो वः किरीकेभ्यो देवानागं हृदयेभ्यो नमो विक्षेणकेभ्यो नमो विचिन्वत्केभ्यो नम आनिर्हतेभ्यो नम आमि वत्केभ्यः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः बिस्मिल्लाहिर् रहमानिर् रहीम कुल हुवल्लाहु अहद अल्लाहुस्समद lam yalid बलं युल्लद् लं यकुल्लहु कुफवन्नहद् ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह अल्लाह. Let us all be together. Let us all be nourished together. Let us all work together with great vigor. May our studies shine and illumine our intellects. May we not hate each other. Let there be peace, peace, and peace. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hari Om, Sai Ram, Namaste. It appears that as the journey continues, silence dawns so profoundly that in all of our presence together, words seem to distract this silence and the presence. And hence it is said that truly speaking, there is no meaning to Vedas. And this is called Paramartha, the ultimate. Artha means two different contexts. One is meaning, the other is what is to be achieved. Paramartha means the ultimate that needs to be achieved. Words do not do justice at all to what is experienced in the presence. That sound which is coming from this depth of silence, which is called para, pashyanti, madhyama, vaikhari. Para is this place where everything is present, but yet nothing is or nothing can be perceived. That which cannot be perceived is actually seen. That's why a mantra is seen. Therefore, the rishis are called mantra drashtas, those that have seen. That which is impossible to be perceived, when it is seen, it is called pashyanti. What is seen cannot be explained. What is seen, not with the physical eye, what is seen, truly seen, cannot be explained. But when this medium of word to describe that which is seen, that intermediary medium is called madhyama, that in between. Then it comes to the tongue, and then becomes vaikhari, the transactional. This this is the reason why they have, because it truly there is no justice from this place of presence to this transactional verbiage. So much of it is truly lost in its presence, that the realized do not choose to verbally describe these mantras. And hence this incredible scriptures related to the Vedas or Dhammapada or Quran or whatever we are talking about, they all are very simply transactional verbiage associated with depth of this presence in this place called the Guha, or the deep cave, or the place which is called Haradaya. Last week we concluded our satsang with going into this journey that is associated from that depth of presence of the source, now expanding itself to carry on the journey, which is now the parikrama, the pradakshina around this beautiful presence of the source. And that source is the I am. That source is the changeless in the changing, and that which is ever present, that is auspiciousness, that is the Shivam, that is the Sri, that is described as peace. You all know all the different meanings that we have gone through related to that. Now, this beautiful depiction by our dear sister Margaret, how incredible these or the changeless in the changing. And in the center is this Hridaya, the source I am. And now what she's showing here is the centripetal and the centrifugal, how movement is occurring from inside to outside and outside to inside. That which can also be called as the ATMA. How many of you remember what the ATMA stands for?
Awareness, thoughts, mind, and actions.
Very good, beautiful. From this awareness of the source, the Hridaya, now the movement of the thought and the movement of the mind and the movement through action, all of this is occurring now. This journey is from going from inside to outside, from Om Namah Shivaya to that Sanatana Dharma, which is the eternal way of living, unchanging way of living. Eternal does not mean contextually the time. Eternal truly means one which is present ever. Sanatana means then one that is present ever and unchanging, the changeless. Continual journey in the path of the parikrama around the source, the absolute unity I am in diversity of the prakriti or the creation. Now this journey is from love. Last week when we concluded, there were a few questions. Perhaps I did not do much justice to this. Bhagavan decided to actually send a thought for the day on September 1st, completely aligned with what we were studying last week. All are in you. You are in all. You have to get this conviction fixed in your consciousness by means of analysis, discrimination, and intellectual exploration. People ask the question, sir, all these satsangs, all these discourses, all this stuff is all this, what is the purpose of all of this? The purpose of all of this is to continuously be grounded in awareness. You need this tools of the mind and the intellect and the action and even the breath. Continuously be aware of this, and that awareness can only be obtained by means of analysis, discrimination, and intellectual exploration. And this is what, if you were to call it one word, it's called Jnana, Karma, Bhakti. Those three ground the senses, they ground the mind, and they ground the intellect into deeply embedded in conviction, fixed in this consciousness. You have to isolate and dismiss from the consciousness the impressions of the senses, the mind, the intelligence, etc. What, what a powerful statement! To continuously isolate and dismiss from the consciousness the impressions of these senses. These have nothing to do with the Atma, which you really are. The Atma is unaffected by any subject or object. Even if the senses, the mind, intellect, etc., are inactive, that inactivity will not affect the Atma. This was the question that was asked last time. The inactivity of the senses does not affect the consciousness or the awareness or the presence of the Atma. To know the Atma as such an entity, unaffected and unattached, is the secret of the spiritual wisdom. Every single act of yours must be carried out with this wisdom as its background. That awareness of the Atma will guide you in both the outmoving and indrawing paths. It will not block action, but fill it with purpose and meaning. Just very powerfully summarized by Bhagavan in Gita Vahini. We are thinking that this movement affects our awareness, but in fact, that awareness of that Atma or the presence will guide us both outward movement and inward movement. Very importantly, it will not block action, but will fill it with purpose and meaning. Spirituality does not block action. Spiritual awareness fills every action with a purpose and a meaning. It will build up faith and moral life. It will take you to the realm of deliverance along the road of renunciation of the fruit of action, and not renunciation of action itself. I think this is the beautiful summary of entire Bhagavad Gita given in a few lines by Bhagavan Satya Sai Baba. This is the nutshell of what we are actually studying through, and so much of continuous confusion and conflict that arises in our mind, thinking that if you are spiritually aware, you have to give up this world. If you are spiritually aware, you are a dull person without any action. If you are a spiritual person, you are so disengaged that people will look at you like you are an idiot. And therefore, we have been bombarded. The spiritual awareness, oh, you should take it up when the right time comes. We are told there is time for it. There is time for it. Wait until you retire. Then you can get into spiritual thing. Why? Because at that time you will have lot of time. Potentially you will also have the money to pursue a spiritual path. Get done with all this, raise as much money as possible, and then you will have time and money. But what you don't have, you do not have the acuity and the energy associated with the faculties to truly connect to what is spiritual awareness. So the journey must be started early. Start early, drive slowly, and finish and reach the end point, as Bhagavan says.
Sairam Shekhar, can you hear me?
Yes, Aruna.
May I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
So the thought for the day, the implication of it basically negates the phrase "I think, therefore I am." Right? It simply says, if you don't think, then you are. It's and I guess my question really is. Our entire conditioning is to say, well, okay, at my work, I gotta read, do some research, read up stuff, come up with a pattern, to do that, do this. All of that seems to be conditioned on active thinking, and we're all knowledge workers, most of us. So our entire life seems to depend on thinking, right? And what Swami seems to say is kind of counterintuitive. He says even if the senses and mind are inactive, you will still get to the end goal somehow. Could you comment on that?
Yeah, this is the second part of, I'm not seeing that the senses and mind are actually in the awareness, are much better purposed even to do or exist in the relative world. They are used as much better instruments in the presence of this awareness. By no means spirituality is saying that you should not think. Spirituality is not saying, or this particular quote of Bhagavan is saying, you should not use your faculties. It is not saying that. It is not truly saying make your senses and mind and intellect, all of this, useless. They are instruments that are used by the awareness rather than the instruments trying to cover the awareness.
Thank you.
Is that making sense?
Yes, I have, I guess the question is the experience of, let's say I'm trying to read a paper and understand something, right?
Mm, mm,
So the way I experience reading a paper, let's say I do it the old way, right? Whatever that is, versus the new way. Huh?
mm.
Would it somehow feel different? I guess I'm trying to ground this in some before after type situation to say, yeah, look, if I read a paper in the older rune versus the new one where the mind is under the guidance of the awareness, is there something I need to do here for the before versus after?
The before is okay. So very important. Thanks, Arun, for trying to ask these questions which many people have in their mind but they don't express it, but which is not a which is hard to grasp. A Vivekananda, a Vivekananda had 100% of relative knowledge about every aspect. In fact, it is told that Vivekananda knew the entire Encyclopedia Britannica page by page. And if you open page number and ask him a question, he will answer it. How did that level of power of the mind was achieved? By such an incredible living example amongst us. How did that happen? It's not that Vivekananda did not open the book and read. Of course, he opened Encyclopedia Britannica. He went page by page and he looked at that entire volumes. But the power of the mind illumined by that awareness is so profound that that mind had the mind present in that awareness has the capacity, full capacity of the 150 bits of concentration and focus. And so that is a supramental mind versus an ordinary normal mind, which did not have even 10 bits of concentration per second.
And if I'm getting too inquisitive, please stop me. So my follow-up question is, okay, I mean, I want my mind to be in the 150 bits, right? Who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
Just even from a very selfish, worldly perspective, I want my
Yes.
mind to run on that high bandwidth, so to speak, right? So post this call, I have a meeting, right, which I have to go and discuss something about some new stuff that I'm trying to do. So how do I switch from the 15 bits to the 150 bit? What do I need to do? So when I go into the meeting, I'm running on 150 bits as opposed to the 15 bits.
What you have to do, again, please, I'm nobody to give instructions, but my perspective. So please do not take this as an instruction, as they say, don't repeat it at home. So what that mind has to do, go into this meeting illumined by this awareness that you are grounded in the source, that you are not, that mind is not distracted by the forces, but grounded in that awareness. I'll tell you one thing, a personal experience. This mind, when it went into a meeting, unfortunately had the presence to actually go into this corporate meeting, and everyone around the table, it actually knew what this person's question would be, what that person's question would be, what kind of discussion they will have, who will ask what kind of questions. Everything was somehow pre-programmed, and it was 100%. When it got into that meeting, as this young mind would actually, even before they opened the mind, used to answer the questions. But suddenly one day it realized, no, if you knew the answers and you are already have to spend 1 hour in the meeting, what you have to do, the speaker used to open a notebook, and in the notebook used to write Om Sri Sai Ram, Om Sri Sai Ram, Om Sri Sai Ram, while allowing all these other people to talk. And at the end of the meeting, obviously all the answers were present. You didn't have to say much. That meeting was over. Everybody appreciated, oh, this guy didn't even open his mouth today. What is wrong with him? Allow it to play out. Allow the awareness and the space to come in. Don't try to move the meeting. Let the meeting move, but you be grounded. See what happens in that meeting.
Sairam, thank you.
Yes, Papa Kumar, what was your Sairam question?
Sairamji, I was told mind should be completely destroyed to experience Atma. Did I misunderstood the stillness of the mind or disappearance of the complete mindness? So I'm confused in this place right now.
You become mindless, then what is present?
Oneness, Atma.
Okay, when that is present, which mind is operating now? The mind that we are talking about is the mind that is propelled by the ego self, that has a constant agenda of about itself. When that mind is destroyed, it doesn't mean that life is destroyed, thought is destroyed. No, then there is a different fullness that has happened. That mind which is operating with preconditions, prejudices, images built all around it, with some kind of an agenda, constantly operating in, propelled by individual instincts, that is constantly a selfish agenda, that mind is destroyed. That mind is gone. Then what exists? It doesn't mean that the thought has gone. It doesn't mean that life has gone. What it means is that place is taken by this, which is much more complete. When that ego mind is destroyed, the supra mind, the oneness mind, Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunak, Sahaviryam Karava, that mind has come in. This is mindfulness. This mind and that mind. What is the description of the word mind? Very simply, the movement of the thought. That mind which is different, this mind. So those are the two we are talking about.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Hello. Anybody else? Before we go into the continue with the journey, please don't make this this me just talking about this. We are at a very beautiful point. 9, 10, 11, only 3 Anuvakams left. It took 7 to come to the source. And then after that, the journey is only 3 Anuvakams. 7 Anuvakams are about that individual body, the individual mind, and the individual ego. 7 Anuvakams are just about that. Then we came to this place where all of that which exists beyond the space, the time, and the identity, we came to that point. Now, it doesn't mean that at source we are dead. At source, we are now more alive. That cut the I across, that ego mind is cut. I, that's the cross. That is cut. And when that is cut, it doesn't mean the I is cut. This I is not this individual I anymore. This I that we are talking about is the awareness of the thought mind in action, but from the source, not from the head, from the heart, not from the head. Obviously, one question comes. What is that question?
Wait, Shekhar, I have a question. Don't know whether it's the one you're thinking of.
Okay.
But so I'm going to use my meeting as an example, right? So I have a goal for that. I have an agenda, right? Because I have to go into the meeting and I want to accomplish something. So
Who is the I?
the speaker, I'm speaking, whoever that is.
No. Which, so in that agenda, what is that agenda about? Yourself, or what is the agenda about?
This is about my new job. I'm trying
Okay.
to set up.
No, that is about some goal, but is that goal or the agenda that you want to accomplish, is that for yourself or for the entire people in the meeting?
Mm, it's for my team. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
Right?
Now, if it is for the team, then it is not for who?
Which I guess, but it is my team. So,
No. If it is for your team in the context of some, no. I'm asking those questions not because I am trying to pin you down. I'm asking those questions because now which I is operating in this meeting? Which I is going to operate in this meeting, and is the agenda of the meeting about that individual I, or is that related to a goal that is much bigger and broader and wider and more?
so this is where I'm scratching my head, because it is, so it's, yes, so in kind of in the longer vision of what this can be or what it could potentially become, it is, yeah, it has like everything that we work on could have a broader impact, right? It could serve people, help them in ways, whatever.
Yeah.
But it seems like that the next step is centered around this particular body and the team, and it seems like we are when I have to drop off this call and get into the next one, it is from my limited perspective, isn't it? Yes, over time, that, so I don't know how to answer your question. Is it the little I
So
or the big?
yeah, so that is where 99% of distraction occurs. That illumined in this awareness of oneness, when every action is filled with that purpose of awareness, then that action will not have any resistance associated with it, or so-called resistance. But at every checkpoint, what is operating? Is the head that is operating, or is it the heart that is operating, or is that the head that is operating? If that is clearly laid out, you will probably experience something different. I'm not saying what you would experience would be worldly point of view, a perfect accomplishment, but it will have a different pull.
Yes, I intuitively know what you mean. I don't know that I have the words to either acknowledge it or communicate it back, but it feels different, is the way
It
I would
feels
say.
different. Yes, it feels different. It feels different. And that, propelled by that, then you would see the time, the space, all of those will not become limiting factors. But this journey that we're talking about, coming from the Hridaya, that is what Bhagavan is very beautifully describing. That awareness of that oneness of the Atma will guide you in both the outmoving and indrawing paths. The out and the in paths. It will not block the action, but will fill it with purpose and meaning. It will build up faith and moral life. It will take you to the realm of deliverance along the road of renunciation of the fruit of action, and not renunciation of the action itself. I hope, I hope all of you that are here are seeing this. Yes, the question is, how do we know whether we are thinking through the mind or the heart, and how do we recognize the difference? Yes, that is the question. How do you understand that your intent is propelled by the head or by the heart? How do you know? The person that asked the question already knows the answer. How do you know?
The
Sinu.
mind,
No, sorry. The person that asked the question is Srinivas.
Saramana.
Yepu.
I feel like when you don't associate or looking forward for the result, then it's coming from the heart.
Yes. You answered the question. You answered the question. And when there is this, when the mind is totally focused on, I want to get this from this, then what happened? Then it is completely drawn by the head. I want to, there is an agenda of I want to hit this with this. Now you ask the question, well, sir, how do we then operate in our day-to-day world that I want to finish this by this time, I want to do this by this time? And if you truly are not focused on I want to, but you simply do it, and simply do it with your heart, this 150 bits of presence of the mind, you don't even have to even ask, I want to get it done. It will get it done. How did a Vivekananda accomplish what they did for in 32 years of his life? Not because he wanted to accomplish. He had a purpose, and that purpose was motivated by this complete spiritual awareness, the heart.
Sairam, I completely agree with your statement because I never thought in my life that I would take care of myself and do a job which is like 20 other people every single day, at least see 250 people per month and help them and take care of my mother, take care of so many things, never ever, only through the grace of Bhagavan. When I look back towards the end of the day, how did I accomplish all these things? It amazes me, His grace. I feel that when His grace flows, it just carries you like a flood. You don't even realize that you're going through that. All we need is, as Srinivas said, to do whatever it is with love. And yesterday I was listening to Prema Vahini discussion. It says the end of education is character. So, I mean, of course, Baba always talks about it. So it's something to ponder on.
Yeah, thank you, Kusuma. Are people still awake?
I would like to say something. This is Raji.
Yes, Raji.
Okay, from what I understand of all this is that during the day, of whatever action we take, whatever it may be, we do it first. It first connecting with the inside, with the Atma, and just proceed ahead without any other factor coming into the picture. If I'm reading a newspaper like Arun was talking about, if I'm reading a newspaper, I'm aware of the fact that I'm not going to read all the junk. I will not read the negatives. I just need to know the important things and move on. The same way, every action of ours, if it is in connection with our Atma, and always aware and being on the watch that you don't slip. If anybody says something that doesn't appeal to you, you have to be on your watch so that you don't retaliate in a fashion you would regret.
Okay.
You do not say anything that is not appropriate. So that watchfulness is what is that awareness that is inside. And if we lead our lives like that, I would say that this is what I understand as being in touch with the inner self, the Atma, the Shiva in there.
Mhm.
Am
Thank
I
you.
right?
No, there's nothing called am I right or am I wrong. So I will never say yes, you are right, no, you are not right. Okay. Because it is not appropriate, because it is what you are stating, but I will confuse what you said with one thing. Yes, in the initial stages of what we are calling as the first 7 Anuvakams, you you purposefully, you know, by, like Swami is saying in this quote, by conviction of your consciousness, by analysis, by discrimination, by intellectual exploration, you constantly isolate yourself from all of what is not consciousness. Yes, you do that. But when you truly come to that point of getting grounded in the awareness, you will notice that even those negative things that were affecting you before, they will not begin to affect you, because you will realize that you are unaffected and you are unattached from, like that lotus example that we talked about last week or week before. So do not feel or do not be carried away by this, that the people with the spiritual wisdom, they do pay attention to the negative propensities, etc., but they don't get attached to it or be affected by it. But they're not inert people, they're not unaffected, they are unaffected and unattached, but they do not drop the action. That is what is the essence of dharma. Now we are coming to this, we are coming to this point of the crux of the next one. Apaguramana cha, abhignate cha, akhidate cha, prakhidate cha. It took us the entire class, the entire satsang today to come to that point. You will be at the deliverance along the road of renunciation, the fruit of action, but not renunciate the action itself. Is that very clear? That last statement is very clear. The renunciation is not the action. The renunciation is the fruit of action. Then how would the spiritual being be in the world? This is very important in the, now I don't want to turn this into a political thing. Going there to vote is not about the context of executing your action, but not about the fruit of it. But you cannot say, I don't want to vote, I'm a spiritual person, I am detached from all these things, I don't want to do it. That is not the point of it at all. You still pick up the ballot and you have to vote, because that is your dharma. Do not say that I am untouched by, in the yes, I am unaffected, I am untouched by all the garbage and the nonsense that is going on. Just like that Bhagavan Krishna, who was the charioteer, he simply told, I am the charioteer, I will not pick the weapon and the fight, but I am simply your charioteer. I am your charioteer, Arjuna. I am doing this because that's what you asked for me to do. All the rest of my army and my power and everything associated with my kingdom is all given to Duryodhana. The entire Yadavas were fighting against the Pandavas. It was just Krishna who was simply a charioteer. Now look at that, look at that, see that with me, please, see that with me. And when a time point came that when Bhishma was so rampant and was completely taking over the army in one of the days of the war, he jumped from the chariot. He took out the wheel, and when he lifted the wheel, Apaguramanaya cha, Abhignate cha, Akhidate cha, Prakhidate cha. He did not hold a weapon. He just pulled the wheel and stood there. And Bhishma said, "Oh, what a beautiful opportunity that I am now going to be defeated by this supreme being, my Bhagavan Krishna." Do we understand that the spiritual being in this awareness is not giving up the action? You cannot give up the dharma, your action. Now, what is this we're talking about? Yes, Bhagavan says three things about love and duty. Please, we will close this today's satsang with these three lines from Bhagavan, which will summarize this apaguramanaya cha, abhignate cha, akhidate cha, prakhidate cha. I can give you the literal meaning of all of this in a second, but the essence of what we're talking about really comes into love and duty in two different ways. The first is about duty without love is deplorable. Duty with love is desirable. Love without duty is divine. I will repeat. Duty without love is deplorable. Duty with love is desirable. Love without duty is divine. The last is the most important. It is love without duty. That is divine. We are not even from a worldly point of view, when we say view, majority of us are not even in the duty with love is desirable. We are not even in the desirable front. But how do we understand love without duty? Love without duty. We love our child because he's our child. We give them support of life. We do whatever yes, we do all of those things because he's our child. Who will actually bring hundreds of thousands of children that are not physically related, but will still give free education, free clothes, free food, free health, free everything without any expectation of anything in return? No fruit of action, no Nobel Prizes, no peace prizes, no Padma Bhushans, no Bharat Ratnas, no this, no that. When they all come, say, I am not doing all of this because of some reward or recognition. No marketing, no nothing. Show me one example that you all know that has done love without duty. And who is that?
Bhagwan Baba.
Swami.
That is the reason why it is divine. Love without duty. And that love without duty, apaguramanaya cha, akhidate cha, prakhidate cha. It shall operate without any question to protect the dharma, to uphold the dharma. What it means is it up this. There is a beautiful Islam saying that I'm reminded of. I read in a book that expands around the essence of Quran, that says that the compassion is more powerful and more cruel. Actually, the words are, compassion is more cruel than violence. Something like that. And I never understood that. Oh, really? Compassion is, because that, when you understand that love without duty, then it completely operates from a different point of view. Of course, the next thing that we say, well, that's Bhagavan. That's why he's God. I'm simply human being. No, it's not practical or possible for me. No, the purpose of an avatar coming in a human body to demonstrate that it is humanly possible to have that love. And then we shall be. I am, I think, way over my time for today. 3 minutes over, apologies. We'll come back here and tomorrow we shall contemplate more on this love without duty. Yes, Sairam. Yes, sir.
Can I ask my final parting question here?
Yes. What time is your meeting?
I have an hour, so I'm good.
Okay, I'll be present.
So the love, I kind of understand the duty without love. Got it. Like it's like, yeah, I have to do something. I really don't want to do it, but I have to do it. I'm going to do it, and that's the way I think about it. The duty with love is, yeah, I have to do something, and I really like doing it. I want to be part of it.
Oh no, please, sir. Liking and love are not the same.
Okay.
I like, therefore I do it is not love. The way we are interpreting the word love maybe is a little bit different. Liking is a very infinitesimal subfraction of what we are calling as love.
Okay. Something I'll think. Try and absorb that.
It's not, yeah, it's not a Facebook like love. Okay.
Got it.
We create a lot of likes thinking that we are loving those people. I click a like, I love that person. No, that is not love. Duty without love means the context of the love is in definition of, I am going beyond this, my boundaries of my likings, my dislikings, my judgments, my this, etc. The duty with love means you are like even if you don't like it, you love your child even if they are not completely competent. No, like Dhritarashtra. 99% of the people are Dhritarashtras. Means they are bound to the body. Something attached to this body, you automatically do it with some attachment, but you still do it even if you don't like what that physically attached person behaves or does things that you don't want them to be. No? Yes?
Yes,
That's where the bondage, the attachment goes beyond your individual liking.
Yes.
So do not interpret duty with love means I like it, therefore I do it. No. Even if you don't like it, you do it, then that is love, first of all.
Okay.
Okay. But that love that we're talking about, even if you don't like, I don't like sending $1,000 every month to my son, but yet I do it because even if I don't like it, I want him to be independent. I do it because he's my son. I do it because he's my, that is nothing wrong. It is desirable. You are helping somebody beyond your realm of individual I. And the deplorable thing is you only do things that are completely beneficial to you, completely beneficial to the ego I. Do not even do anything that would not go beyond. That is complete selfishness, total I, individual I. Love is beyond the individual I. And then you're doing things that are beyond your individual I. I don't like seeing what my child is doing. I don't like what they're, but yet you love them because they are your child. So in that love, you kind of gone past. That is desirable. Of course,
Okay.
she's your child. You will do anything for them. Of course, she is my wife. I will do anything for her. Of course, etc., etc., etc. Don't take that as anything negative. It is what it is. I'm not trying to judge that, nor am I proposing here that you all should give up your families and we all should run away from our. That is not what at all I am saying. Do what is appropriate. Yes.
So I'll leave. I don't. It's late. I'll just leave with this question. My question was on the third one, right? Which is, love without duty is divine. So the way when Swami didn't have to build the super specialty hospital, it wasn't on his to-do list, so to speak, because it. But in his bigger mission, in his infinite love, he built it. So I guess the question that I have is, so does that mean that the only actions that fall into category 3 are ones which are outside of your immediate, so we say, set of connections, right? Outside of your, is it only like going out and doing some service that falls into that category, or are there other things? Because
Oh, yeah. Okay. So is physical service beyond, is that the only thing that is what we call as love without duty? No, answer is absolutely not. That is basically again, physical service is a very small fraction of the body I. It's only a fraction. What is the biggest love without duty? The highest love without duty is very simply the oneness in the context of, you know, talked about in every scripture, the oneness. And that oneness is not just taking care of body comforts, the taking care of the kana, pina, and the sona, providing a shelter, providing food, providing clothes, providing medicines. All these things are part of that love without duty, but love without duty is much bigger than just physical service. And how it is, we will go through that tomorrow. Namo vakkirikebhyo devanagum hridayebhya viksheenakebhyo vichinvatkebhyo anirhatebhyo amivatkebhya. All these things will expound upon this question about what is truly that love we are talking about. Let's close with 9 samastas. Samastaloka सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः 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 सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः